How's it going, Facebook? I'm going to talk about an unpopular opinion of mine that nobody's not going to care about because I read something earlier, and this is right up my ballpark, though. There was an article about Slayer, and this article was listing every one song off that album that's criminally underrated, and you cannot pick a single off those albums or their well-known popular songs, whatever. It's because Slayer's not a mainstream band. They're mainstream to the underground, mostly to the certain extent. But you know, when you get in a catalog of Slayer, people are going to mention songs like Angel of Death, Raining Blood, Disciple, Dead Skin Mask, War Ensemble. That's the songs that they're well known for. So I'm going to go through my list that I feel that if I had to pick one song that's criminally underrated from every single album. So we're going to start off, and I even got Wikipedia pulled up here, so I won't have to cheat myself looking at the actual singles that they released off of each and every individual album. So their first album came out in '83, right? Show No Mercy. Honestly, when it comes to this album, I don't really listen to it all that much. It's because Slayer still had a lot to achieve and prove as a band at this point. They're just starting off. They're still trying to find their signature sound. And that didn't come along until Rick Rubin found them. And he went on his own, put them on his label, and they came out with the '86 album Rain and Blood. So, off of Show No Mercy, let's pick one. And, I guess the only single that came off that album was Black Magic, and that's actually a favorite. Let's see. I'm going to have to go with the title track Show No Mercy or Metal Storm / Face the Slayer because that's got an awesome pickup groove. But if you're talking about the straight thrash, it's probably the title track Show No Mercy. So we're going to go into their second studio album, Hell Awaits. And the only single off this record is the title track Hell Awaits. And which that's a good thing because there's two songs that I really like to pick. And this is actually a cool album. I like it. My favorite track I had to pick that's criminally underrated is Hardening of the Arteries. that's a great song. And Necrophiliac probably might have to be the runner-up. You see, this ain't all puppy dogs and rainbows here we're trying to get into. Okay, now we're going to get into the ultimate classic. God, you can't say nothing more about this album, the Rain and Blood. So let's see what we can't pick. We can't pick Angel of Death. We can't pick Postmortem. We can't pick Criminally Insane. We can't pick Rain and Blood. I would have to choose Piece by Piece, track number 2 on this album. Yeah, Piece by Piece. That's a really cool track. Because I'm looking at the track. I mean, it's a great album, but what is the song that really catches my ear that I can't pick that's a hit song? I'll have to go through with Piece by Piece on that one. And let's go into the next studio album, which is South of Heaven. Ultimate classic right there. Great album. What can we not pick? We can't pick Mandatory Suicide, and we cannot pick South of Heaven. Okay. The song that stands out the most, which it's a top favorite for me on this album, is Ghost of War. The very first song on side 2 on this one. So it would be track number 6 if you have the CD. So great song. So, and then we're going down the list here. You can't beat these first 3 masterpieces with Rick Rubin when it comes to Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, and Season in the Abyss. It's like, if you're trying to find anything outside of Slayer other than these 3 albums, it's kind of like a ballpark figure. It's like you could kind of take it or leave it. But if you're really into the band, then I'm a fan of the band, so I just take about anything from what they do, as long as they don't start singing Celine Dion stuff. So, because you want Slayer to be Slayer, you don't want them to step too far out of the box. So, it's kind of darker print here. So we cannot pick War Ensemble, Dead Skin Mask, which is about Ed Gein, the killer in, what was it? He was the killer in, what was it, in Minneapolis? Where he would cut the skin off his victims' faces and wore it as a mask, almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of a thing. So that song's about him. Where I leave off, and I cannot pick Spirit in Black. Okay, well I could do Effect, because you know why? Because I'm going to pick Hollow Point. That's a great track. Great track. I mean, God, I can't really. It's hard to explain. It really is. It's just. I mean, I feel like a kid in a candy store talking about these songs, but it's just Hollow Point is just straight in your face and gut wrenching, and just you want to talk about some Dead Skin Mask. That song really wants to rip your face off, like that, and the ones I've talked about before, Hardening of the Arteries, Ghost of War, man. If you're really getting into it, man, God, it's if you're really into this stuff, that's where it's at. So we're talking about Slayer. Okay. This is the album, okay, that really got me as a hardcore fan, is Divine Intervention. This is a fantastic album, super criminally unrated. It doesn't get the love that it absolutely deserves, and man, it just, look at the horroring imaging and all the graphic details, and it's dark stuff, man. It warms my heart. So what can we not pick on that album? Which I know it's not going to be a whole lot. Serenity and Murder, which came out, that was the single in 95, and the first single that came out was Ditto Head. I already knew that. So, but we're going to go with the very first track on this album, Killing Fields. God, man, that is the song that I used to get amped up to when I was playing football, to like really get my energy going and the adrenaline, where I really wanted to like fucking hurt people on the football field. It's just, you don't wish bad on people, but you just need that something to get your shit going in the right direction. So, this stuff makes me happy. See, I'm not a bad person talking about these kind of songs, talking about, death and, all this imaging shit or whatever. Now this one, this Undisputed Attitude, just came out in 96, okay? Now the thing about this album is it's like a cover album, because Slayer was so pissed at the movement. What was it, like? It's not grunge rock, but what was it? It was the punk shit. It was the Offsprings and Green Day. Everybody was labeling those bands at that time, oh, this is real punk music. It's like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? So they did, they did their own little personal album, or they picked hand-picked songs back from the 80s and stuff. They grew up to that they like, this is punk music. Like the Dead Kennedys, DRI, stuff like that. I can't really think of the songs they really picked. I think they picked a song from Iggy Pop, I'm Gonna Be Your God. That's one of the songs that really catch on here. But they came out with the single on that album, I Hate You, which it didn't really do a whole lot of great. I need to move this down a little bit because I'm getting further down the list. Oh, Jesus. It ain't moving. Hold on a second. All right, we're getting down here. There we go. Okay. So, even though it is a cover album, Gemini is the only song that they actually wrote on this album. It's the very last track on this album, which would be what? Let's see. What, track 15? Something like that, 14. It's very last. And, what can I pick off here? God, I'm taking too damn long on this one. And it's just a damn cover album, for crying out loud. I'm acting like I'm taking my damn time like this is a classic album, like Rain and Blood or some shit. I'm going to have to go with Gemini, just because it's a Slayer song, and we want to stay on the topic of Slayer songs. We don't want to really do too many cover songs or pick cover songs. We want to stick with Slayer, right? This is the reason why we're doing the video, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's stick to topic. Okay, Here is the one that got Slayer fans kind of scared. I like the album, I ain't gonna lie. Around this time, this is when like the new metal stuff was coming out. they kind of brought a little bit of that element into this album, but you could still hear the emphasis of Slayer in this album. But it's called Diablo in Musica, which I think it's Spanish for the devil in music. So what songs can we not pick off that album? Let's see. State of Mind and Bitter Peace. Those are some good tracks. Okay. But the track, if that stands out most to me, I'll have to pick Perversions of Pain. And honestly, when I was a teenager and I was going to get this album, I got it because of that track, Perversions of Pain, because I was at some kind of store. I think it was Warehouse Music, just like back in the day, where you can actually go into an actual CD store and vinyl store, and they had a whole bunch of used CDs, and you can pick out an album. You can go to a damn booth, be like, hey, I want to listen to this before I buy it. Okay, those were the days, okay? You're talking, oh God, over 20 years ago. So, yeah, Perversions of Pain. And honestly, at the time that I picked this, I thought this track was another album. I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought it was like one of their earlier albums or some shit. I don't know. I got cross-threaded with, when I was like, because it sounds like Aggression Slayer. It really does. Perversions of Pain, Diablos in Musica. Not Diablos in Music, Diablos in Musica. So, yeah, beautiful, Look at the painting and all the colors, and it's beautiful. So here's the album. That's really gonna. Oh my God, it's gonna stab some nerves here. Are you ready? Well, this is not the original album art. They had to do it like this because the imagery that when it first came out. And honestly, this album came out the very same day as the 9/11 attacks. Get that shit, yeah. The 9/11 attacks, 2001, and they came out with an album titled like this, God Hates Us All. God, what more can you talk about this album? This is the album that, the album they did before that, Diablos in Musica. Slayer fans got scared and shit. They got kind of worried, like, what is the direction of Slayer? And Slayer's not the only band that went through that shit. Metallica went through that shit. Megadeth. It's like, those earlier success 80s thrash metal bands, they kind of went through a weird funk through the 90s because either they're trying stuff, outside the box, as I know I'm sounding like a broken record, or they're trying to experiment a little bit. They're trying to find their element of where to fit in, and they should have just stuck with their roots, because if you stick with your roots and what the people know of what you're doing, then the shit's gonna fucking sell. It ain't made. I understand bands get older and they're not successful as they were, like, back in the heyday or whatever, but you want to stick to the essence of your fan base. That's what's most important. So this is a really, really pissed off album. God Hates Us All. I cannot pick, let's see, God Sent Death. I cannot pick that song. We cannot pick, I can't pick Bloodline either. Oh, they did a music video on it. I should have already known that. And Disciple. That's the one that actually won a fucking Grammy for. Disciple, where they're screaming off the top of their lungs, God Hates Us All. They won a Grammy for that shit, ladies and gentlemen. But the song I'm going to pick, and they actually did this song as a demo on a wrestling album, as a WCW Mayhem or something like that, like back when they were doing the recording session of Diablos in Musica. I'm going to have to pick Here Comes the Pain. It's right in between Warzone and Payback. Payback is a pissed off song. He is screaming off the top of his lungs, Payback is a bitch motherfucker. That's like, that's what we're going with. So, Here Comes the Pain. I'm going to pick that one on the Slayer God Hates Us All. Okay. Christ Illusion by Slayer here, 2006. So what songs I cannot pick off that one? I cannot pick Cult. I cannot pick Eyes of the Insane. Honestly, when it comes to this album here, I thought it sounded like a pickup of God Hates Us All, but it's like a mixture of their old school sound. And honestly, I think what helped was getting back the original drummer of Dave Lombardo, because he left the band after Seasons in the Abyss, and he was gone for quite some time. Paul Bostoff decided to leave and do whatever Testament, whatever he would plan on doing. So it was kind of cool to get the original band, their first album since Season of the Abyss, back together on this one. And honestly, this probably in my ballpark of their last probably masterpiece kind of album. Now, I'll have to say like maybe their last absolute masterpiece might be Divine Intervention, because I just have a deep child, loving heart when it comes to the album, because it really got me into Slayer. But this album, I would have to say like anything after that, I would definitely have to pick Christ's Illusion. I would pick Christ's Illusion over any of these albums here, probably over God Hates Us All and even their later albums, whatever. So, what song let's see. I think I already said it. I cannot pick Cult. I cannot pick Eyes of the Insane. Catalyst. That's probably the song I have to pick. Track number 2 on this album. That's a really good song on this one. There's a lot of good songs on here. Skeleton Christ, Canatonic. But yeah, I would definitely have to go with that one. Flesh Storm is, that's a great opening track. As soon as you hear Fresh Storm, it's like, God damn, is Slayer like going back to their old school roots? Like, that's kind of cool. Yeah. So, Catalyst off of this one. Christ's Illusion. This is the album that their last 4 original members actually did together. And honestly, if I had to pick probably my least favorite album, it would probably have to be this one. This is called World Painted Blood. It came out in 2009? So Sympathy Red, I can't pick. Hate Worldwide and World Painted Blood. So, let's see. And Playing with Dolls, that song, that's like their worst song of all time. If I had to pick what is their worst song of all time, it's Playing with Dolls. It's such a fucking weird song. I don't know. Well, Slayer's done some experimenting stuff, but it's like, if you want to talk about something that's really being out of the box, it's Playing with Dolls. Like, I just don't care for that song too much. God, what can I pick on this one? Probably Unit 731. Snuff, that's a good one. Beauty Through Order, that's a pretty solid one. Americana's kind of cheesy, with the lyrics like it's all about the motherfucking oil. It's cheesy for me. You know what? No, let's go with this one. Public Display of Dismemberment, because I love Dave LaBarre's drums on there. The production on this album is not as tight as like their older stuff, so it's just you could hear on this album where Slayer is like they're just burnt out and tired. It's like I think this was at the time when Rick Rubin kind of like didn't want nothing to do with them anymore. It's no disrespect to Slayer, but Rick Rubin was like, these guys are Slayer. These guys that know what you're doing, and I think Tom Araya, the lead singer, he kind of begged him to spend a lot of time with him on this album, and Rick Rubin was just busy with other things. I think around this time, he spent a lot of time with like ZZ Top and Metallica, helping them with their albums and stuff like that. So, but yeah, Public Display of Dismemberment. I would have to pick that one. Let's see here. Their very last studio album, Repentless. That came out in 2015? Yeah. They had a couple singles on there. When the Stillness Comes, Repentless, You Against You, and Pride and Prejudice, which they're all strong songs. Those are actually one of the songs I would maybe pick. God. Because You Against You, that's like has a perfect balance of Slayer. It's catchy, it's groovy, it's got punk elements, it's got thrash, it's a happy go song for diehard Slayer fans. So, they have a song in here called Implode, but I actually like the demo version better than the actual studio version. I think they kind of toned it down and slowed it down, because Terry Date is the one that produced this album, and he's famous for doing like albums like Deftones, and he did like most of the Pantera stuff. They're more mainstream popular albums. So, oh my goodness, I can't. I'm trying to pick something here. I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't pick when the stillness comes. Cast the First Stone's cool. That's a cool song. Take Control. Oh my goodness. Between Take Control and oh, I can't pick Cast the First Stone because I remember they kind of came out with that song as a teaser for like a car company or some shit, and I don't know. Cast the First Stone. I'll just go with that if I had to pick. So I know nobody doesn't care, but that's my picks for one song to pick on every Slayer studio album that's not a single or a well popular kind of known song for the Slayer fans that I would have to choose. Be like, well, what other songs that are criminally underrated would you have to pick? Be like, hey, this one, that one, that one. So I pretty much boiled it down, and this video went on for way too long than what it was supposed to. So that's my picks. Later.